refuge, I would surely grant him it. I do not hesitate about anything as much as I hesitate about seizing the soul of my faithful servant. He hates death and I hate hurting him. Narrated by Al-Bukhari, 6502. 29. This hadith Qudsi includes a number benefits of Allah's love for his slave. Page of chapter 5. Allah is the identifying name or title of the majestic, sole and true God. This noun, which is the name of Allah, applies to worship Allah, none other than Him. He, most majestic and most high, has other names, all of which follow on from His name Allah. The worship meaning of the name Allah is the ma'lu, that which is worshipped out of love. La ilaha il Allah, none has the right to magnification, deification, and longing. He be worshipped, but Allah is the Creator, to Him belongs the commandment. No worship is worthy of ibadah worship, its general meaning being given to a stone, statue, saints, is as I have indicated earlier, namely the priests, kings, emperors, or the sun, or the submission to Allah, the mighty, and moon, or anything that is created, not even majestic, with love and awe, by doing that the prophets and messengers, which He commands, and avoiding that which He has forbidden, and in the manner the name Allah is not chosen by man set forth by His legislations. This is the and it is not named after a prophet, saint, or general meaning, any famous man. The name Allah was referred to by all prophets including Adam, the specific meaning, i.e. its meaning in Jesus, Moses, and by the last and final detail, then, as Shaykh al-Islam ibn Prophet, Muhammad, as Taymiyyah said, the one true God who deserves to be. It is a comprehensive name covering worshipped alone, whatever Allah loves and is pleased with. Allah, the one free of all imperfection, both sayings and actions, the apparent and the most high, did not create the and the hidden, such as fearing khawf, creation in play without any purpose, having or khashya, having true trust. Indeed, they were brought to exist only due and reliance tawakkul, prayers, salat, to a great wisdom, embracing within its zakat obligatory charity, fasting folds the secrets of happiness for this life, siyam and the like, from the ordinances and for the next. Allah, the Most High, of Ilarim, said, "Did you think that we created in play the submission and obedience of man without any purpose, and that you would?" To his Creator is the essence of Islam, the not be brought back to us for requital. Name Islam is chosen by God Allah. Quran, Surat Al-Mu'minun 23:115, and not by man. It is the same message Allah has made clear, the purpose revealed to all the prophets and behind creating the jinn and ins messengers by Allah, and which they mankind, who are duty bound to act in, spread amongst their respective nations, with his statement, "I did not 30 accordance in its final and universal form it was create the jinn and mankind except that to Muhammad." Page revealed, "They worship me." Quran, Surat At-Makru disliked, and Mubar. Thariyat 51:56, permissible. Madarajas Salikin 1109. This noble ayah directs us to the established fact upon which life is based. Worship is a noun covering everything. That there is a specified objective behind which Allah has commanded, so doing. The existence of mankind and jinn. This is whatever Allah has commanded in, signified in the execution of a noble task, obedience to Allah, and leaving whatever the one who undertakes it has indeed Allah has forbidden in obedience to accomplish the purpose behind His Allah. This is worship, and its types cannot existence, and the one who fails to achieve be enumerated, its types are many. This objective, his life, becomes aimless, and everything which Allah has commanded, devoid of its pure and genuine meaning, is worship, and everything that Allah has this specified objective is the worship of forbidden, then leaving that thing is Allah alone in the manner which Allah worship, whether it is something outward, has prescribed for His slaves to worship on the limbs, or something inward in the Him, Hearts it is worship, because worship can be upon the tongue and it can be within we recite the ayah you alone we the heart and it can upon the limbs. Worship at least 17 times a day by reciting Surah Fatiha in our 5 daily it can be upon the tongue such as prayers, but there are rules for the saying, Subhanallah, and worship to be accepted, they are, remembrance of Allah and saying, La ilaha illallah, and stating the two it should be done only for the sake of declarations of faith, all the legislated Allah statements of the tongue from the it should be in the way of the Prophet remembrance of Allah a worship. As per Sunnah and likewise, everything which is within the heart, from that which draws a person types of worship closer to Allah the Mighty and Majestic, then it is worship, such as Al-Kafir ibn al-Qayyim d.751h, Rahimahullah, and Ar-Raja Hope and Al-Kasha all said. Worship revolves around 15 and Ar-Rabah fervent desire and our principles. Whosoever completes them has Rabah dread and at-Tawakkul trust and completed the stages of Ubudiyya reliance and Al-Anaba turning servitude to Allah. The explanation of repentantly and Al-Istiana seeking aid this is that Ibadah is divided between the all of these are actions of the heart, the tongue, and the limbs. And that turning for refuge to Allah with the heart, for each one of these 3 come 5 and having kasha or of Allah and types of rulings, covering all actions. Him and having fervent desire for 31 fearing wajib obligatory, mustahab him and having hub love of him, he the page recommended, haram prohibited, perfect and making one's actions purely and sincerely for him and having intention beloved deeds with which my slave comes. Which is true and sincere for Allah the nearer to me are what I have enjoined on. Mighty and majestic, everything within the hymn. Al-Bukhari. Hearts from these types is worship. Ibn al-Qayyim said, since the righteous, and likewise worship can be upon the predecessors lived their whole life in limbs such as the ruku, bowing in the worship, it is then necessary for us to prayer and the sujud prostration and know with which type of worship they striving in Allah's cause, all of these are started, and which one have they given? Acts of worship of the body and fasting is priority. He then answered, the best acts, an act of worship of the body, it is of worship of the most pleasing to Allah. Apparent on the limbs, in that particular time. The best act of worship during the presence of a guest is so therefore worship can be upon the to take care of him and not to be distracted tongue, and in the heart and upon the from that by other recommended acts of limbs. Then worship is divided into acts of worship. This is also in performing one's worship performed bodily and acts of duties towards one's wife and family. The worship performed through the giving of best act of worship in the night is to be wealth, occupied with prayer, reciting the Quran, supplication and dhikr. The best thing and all of these are to be only for the during the time of the Athan i.e. the call. Sake of Allah for prayer is to leave whatever worship one is doing and answer the Athan worship is the right that Allah has over i.e. the one calling the Athan by his creatures, however, its benefits return repeating what he says. The best thing back to them. So whoever refuses to during the time of the 5 obligatory worship Allah, he is an arrogant rejecter. Prayers is to exert one's efforts in there and whoever worships Allah but also prompt performance. The best thing when worships someone else besides him, he is the poor is in dire need of assistance is to a polytheist. And whoever worships Allah assist him and give that preference over alone based on that which he did not supererogatory dhikr. The best thing to do legislate, he is an innovator. And whoever when your brother is sick or dead is to visit worships Allah alone according to what him, attend his funeral, and give that he has legislated, he is a monotheist priority over your supererogatory dhikr, believer. And the best thing to do when you are afflicted and suffer people's harm is to be the best deed to perform patient and not to run away from them. The greatest type of worship is to perform that which Allah makes obligatory. Subhanallah, a beautiful advice by His servants, and to refrain from all that. 32 On shirk, this is something we generally He forbids. Abu Hurairah narrated that as one of the tricks of page Prophet said, Allah says, the most shaitan to steal from one who is busy. It is possible for you to add a viable with ibadah is to get us busy in brick into the structure of this nation, and something is least beneficial. Add to your scale of good deeds weighty works, which may appear insignificant to you. Worship is part of our daily life. Some people restrict the concept of what invalidates worship to rituals only. Whenever this set worship of people works, they abstain completely from worship, and whenever they worship, one should fear Allah and beware of all they keep away completely from work, things that invalidate worship or remove. This is unfortunately the most common. Its reward, belief. It is the people who hold this concept who say, what does religion have associating partners with Allah and to do with our personal behavior, or showing off? Allah says, what means, if, what does religion have to do with that they had joined in worship others with woman's dressing and her work? Their Allah, all that they used to do would have purpose is to remove religion from one's being of no benefit to them. Quran 6:88. Life and confine it only to the mosque. That innovation, the Prophet said, is why you see someone who prays, fasts, whoever does a deed upon which there is and reads Quran, yet he cheats, bribes, no order from us will have it rejected, takes bribes and wrongs others. You also see a woman who prays yet she disobeys, doing injustice to others. The Prophet, laws of Allah by dressing immodestly, and said, the bankrupt among my nation, mingling with men, is the one who comes on the day of resurrection with prayer, charity and deeds which one performs habitually, fasting, and yet has abused someone, become acts of worship through good, slandered someone, taken someone's intentions. The farmer in his farm, the money illegally, shed someone's blood, and laborer, the trader, or the practitioner of beaten someone. Each of these people will any other profession is capable of turning be given for his good deeds by way of his occupation into an act of worship, compensation. If his good deeds, however, provided that he does not tarnish it with finish before judgment is passed on him, cheating, lying, tricking, etc. This is the parts of their sins will be thrown on him, concept of worship in its wider sense. And he will then be cast into hell, have a full imagination of acts of Muslim obedience